Are you sure you're ready?
I'm never sure that I'm ready.
Yeah, well, neither is anyone else.
But here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Here we are. What's up?
I have no clue.
My chair's squeaking.
Uh-huh.
I could be like the old man outside of a, general store with the storm rolling in,
Uh-huh. How in the heck do the old folks know? This is really entertaining video
totally.
here.
Actually, what's really entertaining video is live RC.
Uh-huh.
Right, here we are at X Factory, and one of the perks of, working for a tiny company that's involved in the RC industry is we can watch live RC when the, Roar Fuel Nationals are going on out in California. We can watch this all day long.
We can.
It's pretty fun.
When we're not watching the Detroit Tigers.
Right, we watch Tigers games too. Chaz and I are both big baseball fans. But anyway, we had a really great race this past Saturday. Where were we, Chaz?
We were in Delaware.
Delaware.
Well, everybody knows where Delaware
state?
is.
The state? We were in Delaware.
Well, if you put an RC track in the state of Delaware, you'd need the whole first one.
Right, you'd stand in Pennsylvania to be on the driver's stand.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, Delaware, Ohio.
It's a suburb of Columbus.
Right, on the north side of Columbus, just off US 23. Wonderful little track. Delaware off-road. It's Dorcot, D-O-R-C-O-T.
Yeah, and it isn't
Delaware
really
Off-Road County.
something.
Something
It's Delaware County Fairgrounds.
Right. And every year, Joe, who runs the
25.6
multiple sclerosis benefit race, this was his 4th annual, and over the past 3 years, he's donated more than $2,000 to the Ohio State MS Society. So it's a really good cause, and this year he asked me to get involved. And so I went down there and helped with track maintenance and getting the surface ready, and also with some of the announcing. It was a really good time. Unfortunately, the mains got rained out. That's Ohio weather, but for the first, all throughout qualifying, we had a really amazing event. The sun was shining, and we got a track that was really, really awesome.
You were cooped up in that yellow trailer for a while, weren't you?
It was pretty nice. He had a fan going in there.
Ah.
I don't know if you, yeah.
Yeah, well, I had a fan going in the pits.
But this is one of the things that I absolutely love about Midwest racing. So, just last week we had the video of from Pheasant Run, from the Factory Tracks racing series at Pheasant Run, which is of course a goosebumps, throw loose dirt, like, a really, really gnarly off-road track. But in the Midwest, we also have tracks like here in Delaware, and you'll see, we're going to play some racing for you, some footage of my car, and what you'll see is that it was a hard-packed clay track that we were able to make groove. Even with, we only had about 80 entries at the MS Benefit race, which is, that's pretty good for him. He doesn't get the biggest turnouts. It's kind of a really small club track more normally, but he is growing. And yeah, so even with 80 entries though, with the sun beaten down and the proper preparations, we were able to get the surface to groove up, take rubber, and everyone had a really good time. It's kind of interesting actually as we watched the Fuel Nationals, which are being hosted at Silver Dollar Raceway out in California, A Main's place. And you can see the track is starting to take a black groove. This is just the second day of practice. But cars are laying down rubber, bouncing off the tubes, fighting for position. But Joe Bornhorst, techno driver from the Akron area of Ohio, stopped by the Delaware track last Saturday for some final tune-ups. He said he had some cool parts on his techno cars that he was trying, getting ready for nationals. And we were able to, not that we did it for Joe, but we were going to do it anyways. But we were able to create a smooth, fairly high traction, grooved up track for Joe to practice on. And we were able to do that right here in Ohio. And I would say, for people who watched last week's video about Pheasant Run, I think that a blue groove or a black groove track that's not sugar, that's not artificially created, I think that's just as valid for off-road racing as, the Pheasant Run track was. They're both a ton of fun for me. So anyway, you can see some video of my car going around.
25.6
just kind of my standard setup on the X6 Cubed. I was running, in this video I was actually on blue barcodes, which is a harder compound than we usually run outdoors. Usually we're on the green compound. And the blue barcodes were good. I think they had a lot of corner speed, but they were a little bit edgy. I'm not sure if there was quite enough groove for the blue compound, and it was only about 80 degrees, 85, not like 90. What do I say? So the blues were a little bit slippery. I think I would have gone. I think I would have had a better race on green compound barcodes. But still a bar style tire. I mean, this is that swept groove track that bar style will work really well on outdoors. So anyway, that's the event. That's the track that we had. The real reason we wanted to talk to you, though, is that I was in charge of the track surface, and I wanted to talk about. I have a bit of experience actually in helping make these groove conditions, especially in the Midwest, I feel like a lot of people wish they could run on this style of track, but they don't know how to make it happen. They don't know, you know, if they run it dry, which is what you need, the track just breaks apart, blows apart, and, you know, no one has any fun because you're just trying to pick your way through the potholes.
Can we stop some video and show some of those blown out spots?
Right yeah, here? So actually, in this layout at Delaware, I didn't prep, really. There's a quad jump in the middle of the track. The 10 scale cars, we were triple singling through there. And the last 3 jumps, I patched and took care of the surface of the major launch ramp, but I didn't take the time to patch any of the landing zone because I knew they were getting beat up by 8 scales and nitros, and you know, even the 10 scale cars were taking good pot shots at them. And being the landing zone, I just kind of let it go. And you can see what happens to the track with no maintenance. You can see what happens to the track here. You know, now again, this is a landing zone, so it's taken a lot of abuse, but you can see how it gets blown out and cratered, right? Whereas elsewhere on the track, like I said, that launch ramp for the quad, the kind of tabletop hilly section off the right side of the track blew out a little bit. You can see some of my patches there. But I'd say there are 2 main things if you want to run a track dry and have it groove up like this. Obviously, you need the weather to cooperate. You need the sun to shine down. It needs to be fairly warm, and you need some guys who are willing to it's going to wear tires out. If you want to run on a groove track, that's the fact of the matter. You're going to wear tires out. So make sure your normal club guys aren't going to get too angry if you do let it groove up. But the first thing, if you're going to run a groove track, especially in the Midwest, what you have to do is water the edges and do it fairly regularly. What you want to do is in practice in the morning and then throughout the racing, every 5 to 10 races, get some guys out there with brooms to broom off the track. Okay, get rid of that dust, so let the groove form. If you got a leaf blower, push it off to the side. If you've got a leaf blower, you can do that. You want to be gentle though. You don't want to scrub the groove away. And then water the edges. Water the edges in the infield and water them hard, because by watering the edges, you're going to keep the dust down. You know, you broom that dust, the loose stuff, off to the edge of the track, and then you water it so it doesn't come right back onto the line in the first gust of wind you get. And also, most people don't think about this, but the water that you put on the edge of the track will slowly seep into the ground and actually help hold that surface that you didn't water. It'll help hold that surface together. Watering the edges helps hold the whole track together. Okay. I also water areas like I'll water the backside of launch ramps, or I'll water between the 2 crests on a double jump. I'll water anywhere that the cars aren't regularly going, and anywhere we don't care if a groove develops or not. Again, the more moisture you can put on that surface without watering the groove, so you don't wash the rubber away, but the more moisture you can put on that surface, the more it's going to hold together. So that's one important thing: is sweep the track regularly and then water the piss out of it. Except on the groove. Leave about a 3, 4, 8 foot groove wherever the cars are going. Leave that go so the rubber can build up. And then the second thing, and this is kind of what we wanted to show you on the video, was to patch. The quicker you can get on, if you see craters forming, if you see holes developing, the quicker you can get on those and fix them using the method we'll talk about here in a second, the more likely the surface is to stay smooth and consistent and even, and
so
you're not blow apart.
The moment you see the groove area start to break up, and you start to
if you see a braking zone or a launch ramp or anywhere the cars are kind of sliding sideways, you'll start to see them kind of scrape off that surface layer. You want to patch that as soon as you can, because if you can patch it while it's small, it won't develop into bigger craters and won't blow out. It'll stay smoother overall. Now, how do you patch the track? Most people just throw a bunch of dirt in the hole and water it and say it's done. And that's not really the best method. What you have to understand is, why do holes form? Why does a track break apart, right? Well, any track surface is a mix of small and big grains, okay? You get that really fine dust, that powdery stuff, and you get kind of the clumps. Hopefully there aren't many rocks in your track, but you get those clumps. Well, it's that fine grain, it's that fine powdery stuff that actually serves as a binding agent and holds the surface together. But any kind of surface, you know, if you take a box and shake it, if you got Legos or Tinker Toys or whatever in a box and you shake that box, the big pieces rise to the top and the small pieces fall to the bottom.
The big pieces actually go up.
Right, it's kind of counterintuitive, but you know, you can shake a box. I mean, go grab you know, a box of Legos out of the closet or something and shake it and you'll see the big pieces rise, the small pieces fall. Further on an RC track, any small pieces that are on top on the surface get blown away by the wind, they get swept away by the cars, and they get swept away by the brooming that we were just talking about earlier. So what you have to do when a crater forms, what's happened is that there aren't enough small pieces to hold that section of the track together, okay? So we have to add the binding agent back to the track, okay? The ultimate example is if you went out and got some lime, right, which is a tiny, I mean, that's what concrete is based off of, is limestone. You know, that lime holds it together. It acts as that binding agent, that glue that you know, holds the bigger elements together. So what I suggest you do if you want to track, if you want to patch the track, if you want to run a track dry and get it to groove up like this, after you sweep, but before you water, okay, take a shovel and a bucket and scoop some of that really fine dust, that really fine dirt that you just swept off the surface into the bucket, okay? You need, you know, maybe a couple pounds of it, you know, to do the whole track. So sweep the track and then use a shovel and gather that really fine dust, the smaller the particles the better, into a bucket. Then go around the track and find the areas that you need to patch, okay? My method for patching comes from a lot of experience watching Jimmy Babcock work at Hot Rod Hobbies and also talking with Gil Losi Jr. Gil Losi Jr. was the one who made me think about the grain size and how the track holds together. Of course, Gil, even before Losi started, was running Ranch Pit Stop Hobbies, which doesn't exist anymore, but you know, Gil Losi Jr. grew up maintaining tracks and building layouts and really, you know, he knows his stuff. And he was able to teach me some and get me to think about it this way. So you gather all that fine dust up, go find the crater that needs patching, soak it really gently, don't use high pressure. You just want to, you know, you want a lot of water in there, but you don't want any force.
Just sprinkle it on.
Just sprinkle it on there. But, you know, as you're watering the track, it'll turn dark, and then it'll get, like, then you can see it turn wet. Then you can see it saturate. You want to get it to that saturated point. And now we're going to pour on a layer of that dust out of the bucket that we just gathered up.
Don't fill the whole hole.
Right, you don't need to fill the hole. I mean, if it's a small crater, you can fill it up. But if the bigger the crater is, the more times we're going to do this, okay? Put a layer of that fine dust over it, and then soak it again. Again, no pressure, real gently, but a lot of water. You want to get it to that, you know, that saturated point, and then pour more dust on top. You know, create another layer, and then create another layer, and then create another layer, and you're building up the hole with that binding agent, with that really small grain size stuff.
Now,
okay?
each time you pour on the dust, you smooth it out.
Right. You know, so I pour on the dust, and while it's dry, I'll kind of get in there with my hands and smooth it out. You know, form it. You know, try to get it. Usually, I mean, most craters you only need to do this if you caught it in time. You only need to do this 2 or 3 times, I'd say maximum. But eventually you'll get it, you'll build it back up to the surface level, you're going to soak it one more time, get it saturated, and then put some dry stuff on top, just kind of to let it soak in the surface moisture. Most of the last layer that you put on will actually, you'll broom away or it'll blow away. What do you say? But if you've done it right, the patch, the area that you've patched, the hole that you used to have, will actually be harder than the surface around it. And that patch will not break up again if you've done it correctly, okay? You know, you might need to go back out and repatch it if it starts to break up around your patch, and you just kind of, it's a cycle. You know, you get the track as good as you can, you let people run on it, have a good time, and then you go out and patch it, fix it up, make it look good. Anyway, but we just thought it was a really great weekend of racing for a great cause, the MS Benefit Race at Dorcott down in Delaware, Ohio.
We can see in the video here where there's a
you
place
can see
that Paul put like 3 or 4 patches
in these right-hand corners. There were a few different craters that were developing on the uphill where people were putting down power. And yeah, right here you can pause it. So I was in race 2, which is just after, you know, the second race after I'd finished maintaining the surface, fixing the holes. And you can see right here. And you can see right here, if we pause it, you can see those patches I just laid down. And they're holding up really well. And they held up well through the rest of the day. Anyway, just a quick, you know, I love racing. I love all kinds of surfaces. I love natural surfaces. I love physical. I love grooved up, high traction surfaces where I can run barcodes. See you guys next time.